The photo was not planned, not posed, not a moment meant for headlines or attention. It was taken quietly in the calm corner of a museum hallway, where only soft footsteps and gentle whispers existed. But once the world saw it, everything changed. Keanu Reeves and Alexandra Grant stood side by side. Not touching, not smiling for the camera, not performing. Alexandra was looking at a painting on the wall, her expression thoughtful and calm. Keanu was not looking at the painting. He was looking at her, but not with longing, not with drama, with something deeper, something warmer, something the world does not know how to describe without turning it into a rumor. And that was the moment the internet froze. People studied his eyes, the way he was standing, the slight softness in his posture, the peace in his face. People said he looked like a man who had finally found a place to rest, a place to breathe, a place to set down the weight he had carried for years. But the photo did not show everything. It did not show what came before or after. Before the photo was taken, Keanu and Alexandra had been walking through the museum quietly. It was a rainy day outside, gray and calm, the kind of rain that makes the world feel slower, softer. They walked without needing to fill the silence. Alexandra would pause in front of paintings. Keanu would watch her, understanding her thoughts without needing to ask. Their relationship was built like that, gently, without force, without performance. It was something that grew in silence, in shared grief, in shared light, in small moments no one saw. But the world does not understand quiet love. It does not understand gentle connection. It demands labels, explanations, declarations. It wants everything loud. So when the photo spread across news sites and social platforms, people reacted fast. Some celebrated them, called it beautiful, called it healing, said it showed what love after pain can look like. But others were cruel. They questioned Alexandra, her age, her appearance, her worth. They compared her to unrealistic stories, impossible standards, artificial illusions, and Alexandra felt it. She sat alone one evening in her studio, her phone glowing with comments that felt colder than winter. She had been strong for so long, but strength does not mean the heart cannot bruise. The world can be sharp when it watches something soft. She ran her fingers slowly through her hair, breathing unevenly, not crying, but close. Meanwhile, Keanu was on the other side of the room, sitting quietly. He was giving her space, because he understood. He had lived through storms louder than this one. But when she finally looked up, her eyes filled with tired sadness. He stood and walked toward her. He didn't speak. He simply placed his hand over hers, slow, warm, steady. She breathed out, not because the pain was gone, but because she didn't have to carry it alone. Love is not a shield that blocks the world. Sometimes love is simply a hand that does not let go. The noise did not stop. Once the photo spread, more photos followed. Old interview clips resurfaced. People analyzed every look, every gesture, every memory they could find. Some called it love. Some called it strange. Some called it wrong. Strangers spoke with confidence about two lives they had never touched. Alexandra tried to ignore it. She told herself the world always talks, always needs something to discuss, always needs someone to pick apart. But words have weight, and when enough of them fall in the same place, even a strong heart begins to feel heavy. One afternoon, she left her home to clear her mind. She walked to a cafe nearby, one she and Keanu sometimes visited together. It was small, quiet, filled with warm light and soft music. Usually, it felt safe. But today, whispers followed her. A group of women sitting near the window looked at her, then looked away quickly. One of them leaned closer to another, covering her mouth as she spoke. Another woman's eyes moved up and down Alexandra, not with curiosity, but with judgment. Alexandra ordered tea. Her hands were steady, but her chest felt tight. When she turned to find a seat, she heard it. "I still don't understand what he sees in her." The words were not loud, but they were sharp, sharp enough to cut. Alexandra did not turn around. She walked to her seat, sat down, and placed her hands gently on the table. She tried to breathe, slow and quiet. She knew these opinions did not define her. She knew love was not measured by image, but the wound still stung. She felt herself shrinking, folding inward. She stayed only a few minutes before standing to leave. Outside, the air was crisp. The sky was soft gray. She stood still on the sidewalk, the world moving around her. Cars passing, people walking, life continuing. She felt small in that moment. Very small. Then her phone buzzed. It was Keanu. Just one message. Are you okay? Her breath trembled. She typed back, yes, but her heart whispered, no. She returned home quietly. Keanu arrived soon after, not because she asked, but because he felt her silence. When he stepped inside, he didn't speak right away. He simply walked to her, gently, slowly, respectfully, like he understood her pain before she had to explain it. Alexandra looked up at him. Her voice was soft, tired. People think they know us, she said. Keanu nodded. I know. People think they know love, she continued. He nodded again. I know. She swallowed, her eyes hot with emotion she tried to hold back. Sometimes their words feel like hands closing around my heart, she whispered. Keanu stepped closer. Not to fix, not to fight. Just to stay. Then let my hands hold yours, he said. Not to protect you from pain, but to remind you that you are not carrying it alone. She exhaled, slowly, deeply, the kind of breath that opens space in the chest again. Keanu wrapped his arms around her, gently, tenderly, as if she were something precious, not fragile. She rested her forehead against his shoulder, and in the quiet of that embrace, something shifted. Not the world outside. The world inside her. The world that only he could reach. As days passed, Alexandra tried to focus on her work again, but something inside her had changed. She had always created from a place of honesty, from the deepest parts of her heart. Her art came from truth, from the parts of the soul that cannot speak with words. But now, every time she picked up a brush, she felt hesitation, like the world was watching her hand instead of her heart. One evening, she stood in front of a blank canvas for hours. It felt like staring into a mirror she wasn't ready to look at. The silence around her felt heavy. She could hear her own breathing, slow and unsteady. Keanu walked into the room quietly. He didn't ask what was wrong. He saw the stillness in her posture. He understood. He walked beside her, eyes on the empty canvas. This is part of your story, he said softly. Not the pain. The pause. Alexandra swallowed. I don't want to paint pain. Keanu shook his head gently. You're not painting pain. You're painting how you survived it. Those words touched something deep inside her. She lowered her head, tears gathering. I didn't think the world could make me doubt myself. Keanu placed his hand softly on her back. The world can shake us, but it cannot decide who we are. Just then, his phone buzzed. A message. A request. He had a scheduled interview the next day, a major one. His management was already nervous about the attention surrounding the photo. They wanted him to be careful, to say nothing too personal, to stay neutral. Alexandra wiped her tears. She stepped back. You should go, she said quietly. Tomorrow is important for you. Keanu didn't move. Tomorrow is only important if I speak truth, he said. Otherwise, it's just noise. Alexandra looked at him, confused. But truth will bring more attention. Yes, he said. But silence brings misunderstanding. She didn't argue. She couldn't, because she knew he was right, and because she also feared what the truth would cost. The next day, he arrived at the interview studio. Bright lights, microphones, cameras, people speaking quickly, assistants adjusting cables. The world of image, the world of show. He sat down. The interviewer smiled politely, but with curiosity behind the eyes. Everyone wanted to ask the same question. Everyone wanted the same answer. Finally, the interviewer leaned forward and asked, People are talking a lot about the recent photo of you and Alexandra. Do you want to make any statement about your relationship? The room fell silent. The crew paused. The world held its breath. Keanu did not look nervous. He did not stall. He simply breathed softly and spoke. People can talk about us as much as they want, but what Alexandra and I share does not belong to them. It is not for the world to define. The interviewer blinked. So you are confirming, Keanu continued, calm, steady. I care for her, deeply. She brings peace to my life, and peace is rare, so I protect it. The room was silent, not tense, reverent, like something sacred had just been spoken. At home, Alexandra watched the interview alone. Her heart trembled, not with fear, not with worry, with something warm, something strong, something true. She whispered softly to herself, "He chose peace. He chose us." And for the first time since the photo, she smiled. The interview changed everything, not because Keanu revealed secrets, not because he made a dramatic declaration, but because of how he spoke. Simple, clear, gentle, honest. The world didn't know how to react to that kind of honesty. Some people softened. They said it was beautiful, mature, rare, but others became louder, harsher, more cruel. They accused Alexandra of trapping him, of manipulating him, of being unworthy of him. They attacked her work, her appearance, her age, things that should never be used as weapons. And yet, something was different this time. Alexandra didn't shrink. She didn't hide. She didn't curl into silence. Because when Keanu said, "She brings peace to my life," something inside her that had been wounded began to heal. Love had given her voice back. Still, the pressure grew. Invitations for interviews arrived. Reporters camped near the studio where she worked. People followed her just to take pictures. It was too much, too loud, too invasive. One morning, while drinking tea in the kitchen, she looked at Keanu and asked quietly, "What if the cost of our love is our peace?" Keanu put his cup down and walked to her. He didn't speak right away. His silence was never empty. It was full of meaning. Finally, he said, "Peace is not the absence of noise. It is the place we come back to, no matter what the world is doing. And you are my place." Her chest tightened, not with fear, with warmth. But that day, something unexpected happened. A package arrived at Alexandra's door. Number, name, no return address. Just a small, carefully wrapped box. Inside was a framed print of the photo, the museum hallway photo, and a handwritten note from someone she had never met. The handwriting was soft, slow, thoughtful. "I lost my husband 2 years ago. Grief almost took everything from me. And then I saw how gently you and Keanu hold each other. It reminded me of love that heals instead of hurts. Thank you for showing the world that love after pain is still possible." Alexandra read the note slowly. Every word felt like a hand resting softly on her heart. She whispered, "Love after pain." The words felt true. She showed the note to Keanu when he returned home. He read it quietly. Then he looked at her, the kind of look that sees the soul, not the surface. "We are not here to please the world," he said softly. "We are here to live, to love, to heal." Tears slipped down Alexandra's cheeks, not from sadness, but from something like relief. That evening, they went back to the museum where the photo had been taken. The hallway was quiet. Just like before, they stood in the same place. Alexandra looked at the painting. Keanu looked at her. But this time, she turned her head and looked back at him too. Their eyes met, steady, soft, certain. No photographers, no whispers, no headlines. Just two hearts recognizing each other again. Like they did the first time, like they always would. The museum hallway felt different this time. The first time, the world had captured a quiet moment and twisted it into a story. This time, the moment was theirs and only theirs. No cameras, no whispers, no explanations to give. They walked slowly through the gallery, moving from one painting to another. Alexandra's fingers brushed over the air as she observed the colors, the brush strokes, the emotions layered on canvas. Keanu walked beside her, his presence warm and grounding. After a while, they sat on a bench near a large window where soft afternoon light poured in. Outside, people moved along the street, unaware of the two souls finding peace inside. Alexandra breathed out, her voice gentle. "The world sees us as a headline." Keanu looked at her. "The world sees what is loud. We live in what is quiet." She smiled, small, tired, real. "Sometimes I worry the quiet will get drowned out." He shook his head. "Quiet things do not disappear. They stay, they settle, they last." She took that in. Let it settle. But life, as always, was not finished testing them. That same evening, as they returned home, a journalist approached them outside their building. Not with cruelty, but with curiosity that still felt intrusive. A camera was pointed at them, recording. Alexandra, the journalist asked, "Do you feel responsible for the backlash? Do you feel guilty for affecting Keanu's public image?" Alexandra froze. Her heart tightened. Keanu stepped forward, his voice calm but firm, not angry, not defensive, simply true. "Her existence is not a disruption," he said. "Her presence in my life is not something to apologize for. She does not owe the world permission to love." The journalist lowered the camera slightly. Taken aback, Keanu continued, his voice soft but strong. "I have lived through darkness, real darkness, and she is light. I will not let anyone try to shame light." The moment was brief, but it was enough. Enough for Alexandra to breathe again. Enough for the world to pause. That night, when they finally closed the door behind them, Alexandra leaned against the wall and let out a long breath she didn't realize she had been holding. Keanu stepped close, his forehead touching hers. Both of their breaths slow and steady. "You don't have to be strong every day," he whispered. Her voice broke just slightly. "I don't want to be a burden." He shook his head, not sharply, but gently. "You are not something I carry," he said. "You are someone I walk with." And those words, simple, steady, unpolished, wrapped around her heart like warmth after winter. They moved to the couch, sitting close, watching the quiet night outside the window. City lights flickered in the distance, like tiny stars. No more words were needed. Just presence. Just breathing. Just two souls leaning into each other. Not to hold on out of fear, but to remind each other, we are here. We are choosing this. We are not alone. Weeks passed, and something began to settle. Not the world outside. That world stayed loud, unpredictable, full of opinions, but the world between Keanu and Alexandra. It became warmer, softer, steadier. They did not need to prove anything anymore. They simply lived. One quiet morning, Alexandra sat near the window with her sketchbook open on her lap. The sunlight was gentle, painting her skin in pale gold. Her pencil moved slowly across the page, not rushed, not forced. She was drawing the museum hallway, the same place where the photo had been taken, but this time, she was drawing it from memory, from feeling. And in the sketch, two figures stood side by side. Not touching, but undeniably connected. Keanu walked into the room, still barefoot, still slightly sleepy. He saw the drawing and smiled. Not the bright kind of smile, the soft one, the one that belongs only to moments of peace. "You captured the quiet," he said. Alexandra looked up at him. The quiet was the most important part. He nodded, because he understood. Later that day, they went outside together. Not to an event, not to a place where cameras waited, just to walk. The sky was open and blue, the wind soft enough to notice, but not enough to disturb. They walked through a small park, passing families, joggers, a couple reading on a blanket, children laughing near the fountain. And then something unexpected happened. A woman approached them slowly, not rushing, not demanding. Her steps were careful, her expression gentle. She looked maybe 60, maybe a little older. Her eyes were kind. "Excuse me," she said softly. Alexandra and Keanu stopped and turned toward her. The woman placed her hand over her heart. "I just wanted to say," she began, "that the way you to look at each other, it gives so many of us hope. Hope that love can be quiet. Hope that love can be healing. Hope that love can come after pain." Alexandra felt her chest tighten, but this time, it was not from fear. The woman continued, her voice trembling slightly. "My husband passed 5 years ago. I never thought I would feel anything close to love again. But when I saw that picture of you two, I remembered that love does not die. It changes shape, but it does not die." Keanu stepped forward just a little, not to interrupt, but to honor the moment. "Thank you," he said quietly. The woman nodded, tears soft in her eyes. "Love is still real, no matter what the world says." Then she smiled and walked away, leaving behind a warmth that lingered like sunlight. Alexandra looked at Keanu. Her eyes were full, but not with sadness, with understanding, with truth. "The photo didn't change us," she whispered. "It changed how the world saw us." Double quotes. Keanu took her hand, not to protect her, not to claim her, but simply to walk with her. "The world can see whatever it wants," he said. What we have is ours, and they kept walking, not as proof, not as a statement, not as a performance, but as two souls who had found peace in each other. Even when the world did not understand, the story did not end with the photo. The story was everything that came after.